Kia ora, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me today on this lovely Saturday afternoon. Really looking forward to hearing about you and your mahi at this time. So as you know, we've been running a series trying to capture some of these stories that have come out of this kind of lockdown period. We were engaging with the Rangatahi Māori and Pacifica. So really excited to have you join us and talk about the mahi that you're doing. So would love for you to share who you are.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm Sarah Colcord. I am 23 years old, based in Maniriwa in Auckland, and I am, my most recent rise to fame, I guess you could say, is being the founder of the Facebook group New Zealand Made Products, which is been in existence for 3 weeks now and has just reached today 400,000 members. So a huge milestone, but essentially it's a platform for small businesses to promote their products and their services and to connect with consumers in New Zealand and even international who are keen to support small businesses. Yeah, that's me. Probably a bit about my other work that I do. So in and amongst running this very full-time job Facebook group, I also work for a community law centre, and I also look after a group of youth voice groups or youth councils, youth advisory committees, youth boards across Tamaki Makaurau, and yeah, just connect, support and empower them, provide capacity building resources, set them up, enable them to be champions of change in their community and things like that. Yeah, so my hands are kind of like in every pie possible.
I think that's really awesome though, because the whole point, of this kaupapa or the series that we're trying to engage with is around understanding, some of these innovations that are taking place, but also, on one end of the spectrum, just some of the, challenges and the, I guess, major impacts that some people have been facing, but also the opportunities that have risen out of this lockdown period. And I didn't realize it has been 3 weeks since it started, so congrats on 400K. That's amazing, and a huge milestone in terms of the reach and the audience that you're working with. I think even more so through this process, from Maniriwa, high percentage of young people and Māori and Pacifica in the Auckland area. So really interesting in terms of where you've grown up, where you're from, how you can contribute to this kōrero. It would be really awesome just to hear some of your own story in terms of this kaupapa, just to kind of set the foundation for some of the people who may not be familiar with NZ Made Products.
Yeah, so I set up this Facebook group called New Zealand Made Products about 3 weeks and 5 days ago now, if we're wanting to be specific. The reason why I set up this group was because as well as having my hands in a lot of pies, I'm also a small business owner myself. So I have a side hustle, and that side hustle is a project and event management business that I've had since 2017. My business was doing relatively well since the start of the year, and as soon as lockdown hit, I lost contracts and consequently I lost a lot of income. So not the best position to be in as a small business owner. And I was just in this frustration that, I had all of these really cool projects and events lined up, and now I was virtually sitting on nothing. Although I'm very lucky to still have a full-time job, like I was saying, I work for a community law centre. I love projects and I love events. And I was just frustrated that that was something I couldn't do during this period of time. And so in my frustration, I ended up having a look around Facebook and kind of just researching and looking at case studies of ways in which businesses, small businesses, particularly project and event businesses, were adapting during this time of lockdown, or quarantine as other people call it. And upon my research / case study stalking, I stumbled across a Facebook group called Australian Made Products. So essentially the Australian version. And I noticed while I was checking them out that they had only been in existence for 4 months and that they already had 1.5 million followers. And I saw the feed of this group, and it was just businesses upon businesses promoting their products and their services and the engagement was incredibly high, and I really wanted to find a Kiwi version of this group where I could share about my event services and project services, to hopefully get some sort of I guess queries and possibly contracts during the lockdown, because a lot of events and projects were moving into a virtual space, and I kind of wanted to be part of that movement as well. But while I was looking for a Kiwi version, I couldn't find one. I tried different names, things like that. Just led me to lots of different community grapevines and community notice boards. It wasn't really sufficient for what I was looking for. And so that led me to creating essentially the Kiwi or the New Zealand version of the Australian Facebook groups, which is now called New Zealand Made Products. So that was launched 3 weeks and 5 days ago. And now we're sitting on 400,000 members, as of today. And I estimate that there's probably 150,000 small businesses in the group. In the last 3 weeks, we've approved over 100,000 posts. So I checked the analytics last night. Gosh, that wasn't all me, by the way. I have a team of moderators. And we estimate that we've probably enabled about $3 million worth of transactions to take place in that group among consumers and sellers. So incredible piece of work in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we have discussed this before, but I always think about just the impact that you could have on a child's life, by saving businesses, contributed to whānau wellbeing in that space. So I really appreciate your work in this space. I'd be interested, do you have any categories in terms of understanding the impact for Māori Pacifica this way in terms of some of your data, or maybe some of the stories that you've heard based on the impact?
Yeah, so I'm still trying to load the rest of my analytics because unfortunately the group is too big, which is a good problem to have, but it's too big. It's not loading any of the analytics or the rest of them anyway. In terms of Māori and Pacific impact, I get hundreds of messages a day from business owners sharing their testimonials in terms of the impact of the group on their small business. Website traffic stats compared to a normal day, compared to putting a post in the group, amount of sales and things like that. There's always one particular one that stands out to me. This lady created a clock, Te Reo clock, so the numbers are in Te Reo. You've probably seen it as well. I know you.
Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah,
probably bought it soon. And she created this clock. It was meant for her wall, so it was meant for herself, and she ended up posting it in the group. And then 1 hour later, she had sold 70 units of this clock. And it wasn't her that messaged me; it was actually her husband that messaged me, and just absolute gratitude for creating a platform to enable her wife to sell Te Reo clocks. Really incredible. There's another story that really stands out to me, and it's about a 13-year-old entrepreneur who is from South Auckland. And he, for the last year and a bit, he's been selling wrapping paper that's covered in Te Reo words, like happy birthday and things like that, Merry Christmas, but in Te Reo. And he's been, this has been his little business for the last couple of years. And he posted in the group about a week and a half ago. His post was the most liked post of all time in the group, had the most engagement, the most comments. The mother messaged me a couple of days after the chaos had somewhat subsided, and just complete gratitude and appreciation for the platform that had enabled her son to not only obviously earn income and their family to get some income during this time, but for the normalization of Te Reo in such a huge platform, and that exposure of Te Reo to such a 400,000 eyes essentially. And if I can say, a lot of the Te Reo and the Pacific products that are coming through the groups are typically the ones that go viral or the ones that have the most engagement.
Wow.
Yeah, I just want to put that there.
I think, there's obviously a market for it. I just think it's crazy, but also really humbling just to hear that, for me, just thinking about you as an innovator, as an entrepreneur, as a thinker, in itself, and just the inspiration and the hope that you can create. And I know that even just through all your work, it's always trying to think about impact and change, and what that looks like in success in those ways in which you measure that. And that's through those types of stories that you can continue to inspire a 13-year-old, entrepreneur in this space. I think that's phenomenal, actually. So I just love that's a beauty in terms of the change through this platform. So that's really exciting. But I was wondering, what's your milestone, or what's your highlight through this whole process? Surely there is like one.
Oh gosh. I'm not sure if it's like one particular thing, but I think I'm just really proud that there's this platform that has enabled people to connect with one another. Essentially, if you go on the group, 99.9% of the comments are praise, support, words of encouragement, and for a business owner, that encouragement is gold to them during a period like this, when you can feel almost hopeless because you've lost 90% of your income overnight, and it's sometimes just those words of encouragement and affirmation that can get you to the next day. And so I'm just really proud that I've created this platform that is not only creating really powerful outcomes for small businesses across the country, but is also allowing them to not only survive, but almost starting to thrive again. Because that's been the biggest thing for me, is like not just creating a platform where, let's just get through lockdown, let's just survive at the bare minimum, but no, actually let's shift that. Let's not only survive, but now let's actually start thriving again.
It's so beautiful just to hear that, in terms of just the holistic approach to the way in which we think and do things. And obviously there would have been a lot of opportunities, like you've said, that have come out of this. What are some of those, from the things you've received to the business opportunities? Because right now there's obviously a lot of opportunities and partnerships arising.
So I'm getting approached by lots of people for partnerships and things like that, from banks to big companies. Really good problem to have. And I'm sure a lot of small businesses would love to be in this position as well. And I get a lot of gifts, so a lot of people like to send me koha, and I've received everything from gin, New Zealand made gin, to beautiful taonga from down in Nelson, to natural deodorant. Must be like a hint or something.
Sign.
Some deodorant and body spray, to skincare, and just last night someone messaged me that they were sending me a korowai, which was like, I didn't even know how to respond to that. That's just a huge, immense, honor, essentially. And just this morning, as I was going back to bed, because I had a really early wake up, a package turned up, a very heavy package, and in it was probably $300 worth of salmon. I'm like, what am I gonna do with $300 worth of salmon? There's only 2 of us. So I guess we're eating salmon for like the next 3 weeks. But man, incredibly grateful. I'm not doing this for the rewards or for the for all the bonuses and the perks that come with it. Yeah, that's just essentially a perk of doing all of this stuff. And I'm not actively going out there and asking for, give me salmon, give me $300 of salmon.
Oh, that's really awesome, though. Just the kindness, and the generosity across the nation to be able to provide things like this, to give back as well, essentially, is really beautiful to hear. I was thinking, when you're talking about these items, what's some of the things, because there's obviously a lot of products, what are some of the different things that you didn't know about that were actually made in New Zealand, perhaps, that you found? Or like it even existed?
Like the weirdest things, eh?
Yeah, the weirdest thing.
Let me tell you, we are definitely creative, and we do like to come up with some really weird stuff. But my favorite types of things have been It's not really weird, but just like favorite things is when people like repurpose things and give it new life, and just trying to be like sustainable. Like there was last week a guy who takes old billboards, and he repurposes them and he calls them barbecue skins, which is like kind of a weird name, but essentially it's just a barbecue cover, but it's made from the old billboards, so the old canvases and things like that. So giving something a new life, but creating a product that's like pretty cool. So just seeing things like that. Just I think last week someone posted a picture of their dad's, like he had created a fireplace out of a digger head. Did you see that one?
I saw that, yes. That's so cool. It was weird, but so cool.
Yeah, and there were so many people querying about wanting her dad to make just like digger heads that people could like make fires in and things like that. I thought that was pretty cool. Just like I said, we've approved over 100,000 posts in the last 3 weeks, so there's so many in there.
That's crazy cool. But obviously, it's really great to just see the innovation and the creativity within Aotearoa New Zealand. But also, I was just thinking as well, obviously there's a lot to deal with, a lot of opportunities going on. What are some of the biggest challenges, both in this space and even just personally, and how you're managing behind the scenes?
The biggest challenge for me, and I've said it lots and lots of other interviews, is that I'm not a business person at heart. So having to be business minded and strategic, especially during this time as I'm in discussion with lots of different businesses and organizations who are wanting a piece of the pie essentially, and having to be strategic, but when you don't have previous business knowledge or experience, it's very hard to be strategic in those spaces. And I'll admit, like, I've probably undervalued or undercut myself a lot in the last couple of weeks. Not that I've made any deals, but just by the words I've said and the value that I've placed on the dollar value I've placed on the group is definitely not what it is valued at. Just trying to be strategic during this time, but also trying to like keep it on track, like keeping the vision and keeping that North Star there, while all of the voices and all of the pressure and the 400,000 different personalities are asking for this and that, and people around me are saying, no, you should do this and that, while experts and things are saying, no, you should do this and that. It's just, there's so many voices and so many opinions, and I appreciate them all, but it's just really hard to keep that North Star and to stick to the vision when you've just got so many voices, and as well as all of that pressure to deliver something in a really quick time frame. So those have been my biggest challenges, being strategic, and trying to keep to the kaupapa and the vision of what this is, keeping true to that. On a personal level, like obviously being on social media from as soon as you wake up to the moment you go to bed, which could be for me like 8 o'clock to 1 in the morning, is obviously not healthy.
Some would say.
Some would say that's not healthy. And so obviously that's huge. That plays into my mental health, my physical health, because I'm sitting down all day. I don't think I've gone anywhere during lockdown apart from the supermarket, things like that. So like going to the supermarket for me.
So you're literally staying home and saving lives.
I'm literally staying home and saving lives. Yeah. And obviously there's a big mental health factor as well. 400,000 different personalities, all of this pressure, whānau over here saying this, friends and experts over here saying that. It's just huge, it plays a huge part of my mental health. But also I've got my own family, I've got a partner, and if I'm sitting on a screen for most of my time, that can impact my relationships as well, or in this case my relationship at home, and so a lot has played into. He's just walked past and been like wow. He agrees, but yeah, it's yeah, it is huge. It's huge impact on my life. And I'm going through my own journey. I'm having to learn very quickly. And that's also been the hardest thing because it's been so go, 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 and because it's grown to 400,000 members in 3 weeks, I haven't actually had that time of peace and being able to sit down and reflect and be like, okay, this is where we're going to go to next. This is the next plan. But I've had to do all of that planning while being go, 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 and while having all of this doing, and while also having all of my normal 9 to 5 job as well. So you could essentially say that it's been chaotic for 3 weeks. Yeah.
But it also sounds exhausting at the same time. So yeah, really difficult to hear as well in terms of just the mental capacity, physical capacity that you're having to manage both yourself and 400,000 people and your family, and that, so it's quite layered and quite complex, I'd say. So really hoping that you have enough support during this time. Well, it sounds like you have too much support perhaps in this space. But just I just think because you're such a strategic thinker and innovator, that you've built up that over the years in terms of the mahi that you do. So really have a lot of faith in terms of the your North Star and the future vision for this kaupapa. But I guess that kind of leads us to, where to next? Is the goal a million? Is it what, things are happening so fast. What does that look like for you?
Wow, I'm trying to reveal my secrets, eh?
Just the little gems.
Yeah, well, and I just wanted to say on the last piece as well, like my background is, I used to be in politics. I used to be a politician for local government. And so a lot of my resilience right now is because of the resilience that I learned and went through and had to develop while I was in local government. And so in terms of, I'm doing well because of my experiences in local government and things like that. But to answer your question of like, where to from here? We just hit 400,000 today, this morning. Man, 500,000 would be incredible. And I'm looking at the analytics that do load and can see that the growth is still steady and it's still heading in that direction. So my goal is hopefully by Saturday next week or another 7 days, we can hit 500,000. That would be incredible. What would it be even more incredible would be like 1.5 million members like the Australian version. But also like they say that there's 500,000 small businesses in New Zealand. Now, if every single one was in my group at some point in time, that would be incredible, because I'm constantly thinking about what kind of value can I continue to add to this group to not only allow people, like I said, to survive at the bare minimum, but also to thrive. And so the more small businesses that enter this ecosystem, or as I'm coining it, digital community, digital village, the more value I can add into their lives, but also to their businesses, with the mentoring and the coaching and the resources and the free advice and support and all of the partnerships that are coming and will be coming. And 500,000, hopefully.
I really love.
I
really love that you said it's a digital village. It's a whole totally different ecosystem in itself, because we know through this lockdown the susceptibility for small businesses through this process it's really unsustainable. But village and that kind of holistic thinking to the way in which we work in society, and so if it's through business, that you're stronger when you are together. So it is kind of inspiring and exciting in terms of moving forward and just future-proofing that as well. Because if those support systems, like a family, right? If those support systems are in place, then you can't go wrong, and then you continue to support each other moving forward. So I think even that framing in itself is really important and really exciting just to even hear. A lot of work for you to do though, to keep you busy.
Yeah.
Heading into level 3. level 3, still in level 3, hopefully level 2 and level 1. So obviously you'll see a lot of changes as we continue to change and how businesses will operate. So
Yeah, things will definitely look different next week as we shift to level 2. Even the tone of the group, I expect will change, and it'll probably be a bit harder to, you know, as people start going back into their normal routines and mainstream shops start to open and things like that. Then I need to put a lot more energy than I am putting in now to not only retain the membership, but to continue to grow it at a steady rate. Because there's going to be a lot of challenges that come up, especially as, human behavior will be to naturally go back to our routines and our, you know, things that were more accessible to us before, like things like like the warehouse and shopping malls and things like that. So big challenges ahead.
Yeah, I think hopefully through this even short process and time where we start shifting that thinking in terms of where we're buying and who we're buying from. So even if that's a behavioural change that we'd like to continue to see, I think that would have a huge impact in terms of our local communities and economy. I really wanted to kind of bring it back as well, just to, before we conclude, really about, you know, you're still young as well, still young, Wahine, Pacifica woman from South Auckland, just amazing things that you've been able to do, and just the innovation. It'd be great to hear perhaps some thoughts for other young people out there around just the opportunities available and just the way in which we can do things and help create change in our communities.
Yeah, well, I was my mum likes to remind me that my innovation journey started when I was like 5 or 6, and I would pick feijoas from our tree and try and sell it to our neighbours. And I think for a lot of us, we've done similar things. You know,
I did plums.
Yeah, see, exactly. A lot of us have dabbled in business with, you know, it looks different. You know, at 5 years old. Business looks different, but it looks like you selling feijoas to your neighbor or plums to your neighbors. And in a sense, we must continue to keep that tinkering and that innovation and that thinking as we grow older. We tend to lose that as we get older. I started, you know, selling feijoas when I went into intermediate. I also tried to sell necklaces. By the time I hit high school, I tried to open up a secondhand shop, so a fashion boutique selling like really cool sourced secondhand clothing. And so I've somewhat always been an entrepreneur or always been a business person. But as I got older, I started to lose that, or not so much pursue that. And my encouragement to people would be to continue to keep that alive. That's that childlike spirit of curiosity and creativity and innovation and tinkering and selling feijoas alive. And the biggest thing for me in my experiences is that a lot of what I have done has been because I've chased a need. I was telling another interviewer last night that I didn't enter the local government at 20 years old because I saw a salary and I saw all of the praise and accolades. I entered local government because I saw that there was a need for young people and young Pacific people to be at the table where decisions were being made. That's the need I saw. And I created this Facebook group not because I wanted to get salmon on a Saturday morning or gin for free. I created the Facebook group because I saw there was a need for small businesses to belong to a community of consumers that were willing to support them. That was the need I saw. Everything else comes later. All of the rewards, everything else comes later. So my encouragement will be to keep that spirit alive of creativity and innovation, but also to chase and identify needs that need to be met in your community, and find that need, figure out a solution, and start pursuing it. That solution could be the most simplest thing in its earliest form, but as you go through that journey, you add to it, you create to it, you change it, you adapt it, it just begins to grow. But you actually need to take that first step of actually doing that first. So yeah, that's my word of encouragement.
Awesome. Nothing short and sweet.
No.
No, I just really appreciate you and your mahi and your words of wisdom to other young Māori and Pacifica out there and our communities across Aotearoa, and no doubt we'll see big error. I don't know how bigger they can get in this space, but really excited to see your journey and continuing to support our small businesses and our local economy. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to share this kaupapa with everyone. Kia ora.
Kia ora.